Hey guys, welcome to the vlog today. This today we want to talk about. I'll put on my cybersecurity hat today. We're going to talk about technology vendors that are under siege right now, specifically in the VPN technology space. I saw an article about Citrix VPN that was actually compromised. Their network was compromised, and they had a breach. They got wind of it. I think the FBI notified them that they suffered a breach or that hackers would be in their systems or maybe in their systems. It's always it's always bad to get a call from outside telling them that we see stuff happening on your network and you have no clue that it's out there. Well, that's what happened in this case, and it's happened to me in the past, so I can't be mad. The breaches get notified in various ways, and unfortunately, sometimes it's a customer or law enforcement that notifies you that a breach is happening. So, in any event, the FBI said that they they were a victim or a potential victim of what's called password spraying. And basically, what this is they get access. The hackers get access to a large number of employee accounts, whether there's usernames or emails, and they get in and they spray and they use a combination of that particular credential and common words, password. Common password type of things. The password or the password with an at symbol or the with the zero, and they're breaking in, or they got into Citrix utilizing that type of attack. Initially, Citrix said that it was just business documents, which it okay, that's in of itself a problem, especially if those business documents contained intellectual property. And then business documents, does that include customer business documents? Does that include network diagrams of particular customers? What it's very vague about this business documents, but uh, later on it was found out that employees relatives or spouses or contractors, the informations were social security numbers, other tax identification numbers. Let's say if you're a vendor and you have a business and you did business with Citrix, driver's license numbers, passports numbers, health information, financial account numbers, payment card data. And evidently they sent this the letter out to people that it looks like it's former employees, former employees, there and their families, based on saying that this information was compromised. Evident the There was a security firm back then in 2019, March of 2019, that called Resecurity or Resecurity or however you want to pronounce it, and they said that it was the Iranian hackers that was responsible for being in Citrix systems, and they had been there for a long time. And so you have this technology, VPN technology, which a lot of you've heard about that you utilize. And this is the second VPN vendor. Last year was Pulse Secure. I think I did a blog about where So now you're having VPN providers that are now under attack, and again, it's different from attacking me as a company as opposed to attacking a company like Citrix that has thousands of customers that utilize their product. And now their employee data is getting compromised. So it makes you wonder, are they practicing what you preach? As I've told you guys before, security vendors don't necessarily always practice what they're selling. And which begs the question, are your security vendors even in your third party review process? Do you even look at the quote unquote IT vendors when it comes to whether plugging in or asking them those questions in regards to security? I'm I'm just trying to think, from my past. I don't think I've come across security vendors being inside a third party program. Well, and that third party was under my purview a couple of times in a limited basis in my corporate career. So I can't say that it doesn't exist. I can say my purview was limited, but it's really begs the question. I know cloud vendors are not necessarily all of IT. I'm just curious to know if you guys know, if you guys are in IT and third party program. I probably have a friend or two out there that could tell me, do you put your third party security providers in the same process as you onboard, or you check off compliance checks for other third parties, like the HVAC vendor, right? Are you doing that same type of due diligence with folks that are providing you with a security software service? And I don't know. I just think that that's something that, because people will say to me, Mary, I all my information's in the cloud, and then I asked, okay, so who's monitoring it in the cloud? And they assume it's the third party provider that's monitoring it. So I can imagine that, the IT providers, the security providers of these technologies could probably get a pass because they're providing this software and this technology to an organization under the guise of security. VPN, is a security feature. And, I can just imagine them not getting the same type of microscopic review that some other organization may get. So it just begs the question. I think that the reason why they would get access, to a VPN type of technology is so they can plant back doors, so they can actually circumvent everything, right? You can get into that technology, create a back door, and come in through the VPN. And then again, don't get me started on how the IP addresses in some VPNs are set to not, give you an internal IP address. And if they have an internal IP address, there's not too much you're going to be able to do about it to detect it. So definitely make sure you go out and any type of updates, especially at the perimeter to VPN technologies, make sure you are updated on all of those CVEs and download all of those updates, because if they can get into Citrix, I mean, of course, this is not a product-based vulnerability. This is, they attack them with a very simple, actually, technique, password spraying. I mean, it begs the question, why are they employees allowed to use uncomplicated passwords if they're a security vendor? You would think they would know better, right? But okay, I'll get off of that soapbox there. But just make sure you update, and you're updating all of your hardware devices for the latest updates or upgrades, and be safe out there. Thanks again. Stay tuned for our random thought. Are you a VIP? More importantly, are you a cybersecurity law firm of Texas VIP? What's VIP, you may ask? VIP stands for Virtual Information Protection. For those organizations that may not need a full-time resource to handle their cybersecurity and privacy needs, they can hire the Cybersecurity Law Firm of Texas on an outsourced basis to handle those needs. If you want to learn more, please click the link below. Hey guys, okay, so my random thought, and I'll try not to make this too long, but it's about SIM swapping and what you're seeing out there now. SIM, of course, is the SIM card in your phone, is what I'm talking about. And there have been an uptick, and I actually had a conversation with someone who was a victim of this. And essentially, the bad guys were able to convince her cell phone carrier that they were her. That bad guy ported her number to a different device and then started utilizing it. Now, it doesn't sound too bad, but think about how much information you have on your phone right now, how many apps you have downloaded to your phone right now, whether it be your banking apps, whether it be all your social media apps, whether it, whatever type of app that has your personal information in it is on your phone normally. And if someone got access to your phone, even if it's two-factor authenticated at this particular point, if they SIM swapped your phone and you log in into Twitter and they send you a code, if they somehow had your password and they were able to log into Twitter and they sent you a two-factor authentication code, it going to the bad guys, right? And so, you have to be aware. Like I said, I talked to someone about it, and one of the ways you can figure out if you've been affected by this is if you don't get cell phone service, right? If you get off, or this person was getting off the plane, they got off the plane, turned on their phone, they didn't have any service. And so bad guys got access to the phone. Phone had apps on it, bank apps, all this other information, and proceeded to go through and, from a fraudulent perspective, get credit, get all of this information. Because again, we say, how do they get access? So you guys know that Gmail is like a cloud provider, right? It sits on your cloud provider, but it downloads to your device. So if you don't delete it out of Gmail, out of your email inbox, when they get access to it, it's just going to download all those emails locally to that device, that new device. And what do we have in our email, people? We have tax forms, we have bank forms, we have bill payment information, you have real estate information. That's one of the things that I used to irritate me to death about my real estate agent. They would send and ask for very sensitive information by email. Why in the world would you do that? And what I advise everybody to do right now is go through. If you don't need it, delete it. Gmail doesn't need to be your storage. You don't need emails from 4 or 5 years ago that has personally identifiable information on it. You do not. You can just delete them from there. If you delete them, then it's not going to download to the phone because it's no longer there. All that to be said, SIM swapping is a big thing. I think what you can do to fight this, I mean, it's all about, security is always about being better, or getting, making it more difficult for somebody to commit a fraud, right? And so in this particular case, deleting emails is one. All of the carriers now allow you to set a PIN, right? So before you're able to call in and convince, let's see, it's AT&T or Sprint, that I'm trying to change my cell phone carrier, and provide them with data that you've learned, or the bad guy has learned just from following you on social media, and trying to convince, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to convince your phone carrier over the phone that it's you. And so they have all this data and they're trying to convince it. But most of the carriers allow you to set a PIN number. And that PIN number, they would have to have that PIN number as well. Don't use your birthday for the PIN number. You have to come up with some unique stuff here. Don't use common things for your PIN number. But if you come up with your PIN number, if you come up with a PIN number, then they won't be able to change your account without that number. And you can always call your provider to ask them specifically, what is it that I can do to prevent SIM swapping? Because I was out there, and one of my phone carriers is AT&T, and I was out there looking at certain things on the site to see if I can actually, set up the additional security features necessary to prevent this type of attack from happening. So you want to make sure you do that. And all your mobile carriers should have a way to have you set some type of authentication mechanism that someone just can't call in and pretend that it's you. Again, look at your phone, look at the data that you have on your phone, and realize, okay, if someone now ported my number to some other phone, what would they have access to? Everything in your email they have access to. They know now. Again, some documents that you may not have thought that were out there, or you thought you didn't even think about, they now have access to. So be careful out there, guys. And we'll talk again soon. Have a great day. Guys, thanks again for listening to the Breach Whisperer blog, sponsored by the cybersecurity law firm of Texas. Don't forget to like this post and subscribe to our channel so you can get updates of when we post new things on our channel. In addition, spread the word for me, right? Let's get out there and tell a friend, and so they can all become paranoid cybersecurity and privacy people. Don't forget, if you would like to connect with me on socials, you can connect with me on Twitter. At Mary N. Cheney. Use my middle initial always. For my nonprofit, Minorities in Cybersecurity, that is at Mike Leadership, and Instagram and Facebook at MN Cheney Law. And you can find me on LinkedIn just by searching for my name. So if you're interested, connect with me. Thanks again. And just remember, awareness equals knowledge.